Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to be discussing dehydration and its effect on your performance in the gym. So what is dehydration? Dehydration occurs when your body loses more fluid than what you've consumed or taken in, and that will wind up creating an imbalance with water, sugar, potassium, sodium within your body. If the dehydration continues and reaches a severe level, you could be looking at organ failure or even death. How are you supposed to know when you're dehydrated? Well, right now, is your mouth a little dry? Are you a little thirsty? Well, you're already dehydrated. You're in a very mild state of dehydration, and that means your body has probably lost about 1 to 3% of your body weight in just fluid alone. And so you need to go ahead and replenish, go ahead and reach for that shaker bottle like I'm about to do, and go ahead and replenish that water that you've lost. Now, if you decide to ignore this first little sign of dehydration, you'll probably reach around 3 to 6% of your body weight loss in fluid, and that's going to result in muscle cramps, which you're very familiar with. And this is probably when you might notice you're going to be resting more in between your sets and losing a little bit of performance in the gym. Now, if you lose 7% of your body weight in fluids or higher, you're reaching severe dehydration levels, which if you are at this level, you're not worried about working out or hitting the gym. So I don't really worry about this, but this is when you would experience a lot of brain fog, lack of coordination, maybe dizziness. You won't be able to really work out. And if you do, you're going to have severe strength loss. And you're also going to have to give your body a lot more rest time in between sets or whatever you're trying to do that's strenuous on your body, because the only thing your body needs at this point is hydration. So now that we know what dehydration is and some of the levels that come along with it, now what are we going to expect as far as the strength loss to dehydration, fluid loss ratio? Does losing 3% of your body weight in fluids correlate to 3% loss in strength, or is it more? If you want to skip over the science and go straight to the answer, by all means go for it. But right now we're going to get some PubMed articles and go over some experiments that have been conducted with different individuals, which will look into the relationship of performance and strength loss in the gym and the amount of fluids you've lost or dehydration. For this study, 7 healthy resistant trained males, ages 23, give or take 4 years, with a body mass index of 87.8, give or take 6.8 kilograms, and a body fat percentage of 11.5, give or take 5.2%, completed 3 resistant exercise bouts in different hydration states. The 3 states are EU, hypohydrated by approximately 2.5 body mass, and the third group being hypohydrated by approximately 5% body mass. The state of EU is just your optimal hydration level, with hypohydrated just being another word for dehydration. It's important to note the investigators controlled fluid intake 1 day preceding testing. For the 2 dehydrated groups, body mass decreased by 2.4, give or take 0.4%. For the 2.5% group, while 4.8, give or take 0.4%, was lost in the 5% group. No significant difference existed among trials in vertical group height, peak lower body power assessed via jump squat, or peak lower body force assessed via isometric back squat. CAR, or central activation ratio, tended to decrease as hypohydration increased. CAR is a measure of neuromuscular function, and this basically means that as dehydration progresses or gets worse in severity, we're going to wind up having our muscles activate less optimally. That means if you were at the EU group where you're optimally hydrated, your muscle activation will be way better than if you are in a dehydrated state of about 2.5 to 5% of your body mass. And from the results, when you look at the EU 2.5% and 5% group, you can see that there's a rough loss of 2% from the EU group as dehydration gets worse. So 2% loss is kind of close to what you're losing in your body mass as far as your fluids. So for the 2.5% group, it's a 2% loss. And then when you look at the 5% group, it's about a 4% loss. So your central neuromuscular activation is getting worse dependent on your dehydration percentage when looking at your body mass. It's important to note when evaluated as a function of the percentage of total work completed during a 6-set back squat protocol, hypohydration significantly decreased resistant exercise performance during sets 2 to 3 and sets 2 to 5 for the 2.5 and 5% group respectively. It is conclusive that this data indicates that hypohydration attenuates resistance exercise performance. One common question that might have already popped into your head is, okay, well, if it's so detrimental to your performance, why do mixed martial artists, UFC fighters, why do fighters, powerlifters, or bodybuilders, when they have a fight or a meet or getting ready for a show, why are they doing such a severe weight cut sometimes? If it's so detrimental to their performance, why risk it? And if you want to look into how to properly weight cut or what goes into one, you can click this card up here and go check out that video. But when it comes to weight cuts, most professionals manage their weight, so they're not dropping a ton of weight right before. You do have some situations that might arise where you drop more weight than what you were initially planning on dropping, and that could prevent you from performing as well. But if that meant you were guaranteed to lose, or the performance loss or strength loss was so severe that you were destined to lose, no one would ever weight cut. So this article will answer your question question and shed some light on that. This study examined the effects of passive dehydration, approximately 2 hours in the sauna, followed by rehydration, which is approximately 2 hours of rest, with water at a controlled amount given to them. During this, the 1 rep max on bench would be tested for the participants. 10 weight trained males approximately 25 years in age and about 85.5 kilograms, with a height of 173 centimeters and body fat percentage of around 17.8, all with a similar 1 rep max of around 118 kilograms. Testing included 2 EU hydration 1 rep max measurements, and for the second testing session, they were dehydrated, 1 rep max tested, followed by rest, and then having their 1 rep max retested. Testing sessions were administered in counterbalanced order and separated by 1 week. And this helps to ensure that the results aren't skewed by having it all performed in one day or even just the next day. 1 rep max was decreased following dehydration, with the 1 rep max being around 111 kilograms compared to both EU hydrated test and rest test, with those 1 rep maxes being around 118 kilograms. So from this research, a 2-hour sauna session, the dehydrated group was 6% less effective when it came to the 1 rep max on bench press. That means they had a 6% loss in strength or muscle performance. Now, we don't know how hot the sauna was. However, we do know how long they were in the sauna, which was 2 hours, and we do kind of know the body weight of the individuals. So for this amount of time in a sauna, on average, these individuals were at least around 2 to 4% loss of fluid for their body weight. Now, they could have been more depending on how hot the sauna was. I have no idea. It doesn't say here. That is something to consider, even though we don't know exactly how much. We do know they were at least mildly dehydrated. And if just a mild dehydration can cause that amount of performance loss, that's very useful for individuals that are trying to go for a 1 rep max or really pushing themselves in the gym. And that just stresses the importance of proper hydration. Now, what about for the individuals that may wake up in the morning, real early, bright bushy-tailed, going and working out? Couldn't be me. But let's see what happens if you weren't properly hydrated the night before and go into your morning workout. Now, this is the effects of hypohydration or dehydration on muscular strength, endurance, and power in women. However, just because it's a study on women doesn't mean this necessarily doesn't apply to you if you're a man. 10 resistance-trained women completed 2 bouts of exercise, 1 rep max for bench press and angled leg press, followed by 5 sets to failure of 75% of 1 rep max and vertical jump. Either dehydrated, approximately 3% body mass, or heat exposed with fluid replacement. Paired t-tests revealed that the 1 rep max bench press was significantly lower for DT compared to HT, with the dehydrated group getting about 42.7 kilogram, give or take 14.5 kilogram, and the rehydrated group with the average of 44.1, give or take 13.9 kilogram. This study states that no significant difference was found for leg press 1 rep max, with the dehydrated group being about 216 kilograms, give or take 55, with the rehydrated group being 223 kilograms, give or take 55.7 kilogram. Now, in my opinion with those numbers, I didn't do any stats tests on Excel or anything for this. I am wondering why they said it was significant for the bench press when bench press was about 2 kilogram of difference. And they're saying it's not significant when there's a 7 kilogram difference for the leg press. There's also no difference in total reps completed for either bench press or leg press. From this data, we conclude that previous night dehydration does affect performance in the gym. I'll let you guys decide on this study in the comments down below, but in my opinion, you're losing about 5 pounds on bench, whether you're properly dehydrated versus dehydrated, but you're losing almost 20 pounds on leg press, which in my opinion is pretty significant. Even though it says it's not, I'm really curious to know why they deemed it not significant, but there's just not additional information here. All I have access to is this abstract, but I did want to include this for our morning time lifters. So in conclusion, with us regarding dehydration percentage involving your body weight, I'd say if you're dehydrated around 3 to 4%, you're going to wind up experiencing a roughly same amount of strength loss in the gym or performance loss, about 4, maybe upwards to 8. And that's about mild dehydration. Now, if you're between 4 to 7% of dehydration, getting closer to severe dehydration, I'm assuming you're going to be about 8 to 15% at least in strength loss, performance loss in the gym. And if you're any higher than 7% dehydrated, you're probably not even worried about the gym. You're getting close to organ failure. If your dehydration is progressive, it can lead to even death. So I really doubt you're even trying to train. And if you are dehydrated more than 7%, you're severely dehydrated. You're risking organ failure and you're risking death. So I really doubt you're going to be worried about training. And obviously these studies are not that extreme, so we don't know the percentage of strength loss at such high levels of dehydration. I will say though that the strength and performance loss in the gym is mitigated by having a more trained individual, a more experienced individual when it comes to lifting. I'll include those down below in the description with these studies we've also gone over, but regardless, you are still going to experience performance loss. From these studies, we also concluded that if you don't hydrate properly before bed, or when you wake up, if you just wake up, go straight to the gym, and you didn't give yourself enough time to properly hydrate, you're going to have performance loss. So I really encourage you, if you are trying to get your workout over with very early in the morning, maybe wake up a little bit earlier and give your body a little bit more time to properly hydrate itself with the fluid you start consuming as soon as you wake up. Now, going back to the other study where we looked at rehydration, it says that a 2-hour time period is more than enough to almost negate any performance or strength loss that may have been induced from your previous dehydrated state. So this means if you're trying to drop weight to make a weight class, you're weight cutting, you're waking up very early for your workout, or even at the end of the day, if you feel like you're dehydrated, give your body enough time to properly move those fluids around in your body and rehydrate itself. I hope this video is very beneficial for you guys. If you guys stayed around this long, be sure to drop a like and subscribe. And if you have any experience of being dehydrated and experiencing any strength or performance loss in the gym, let me know about it in the comments down below. And I hope you guys have a good morning, a good night whenever you're watching this, and I'll see you in the next one.